I'm Sarah Starr, and this is your space weather forecast for the day. Today, we are going to be talking about geostorms, and also our X-class flare percentage is at 35%. So here are the solar flares that we have had thus today. So we haven't had too many. We've had an M-class flare. We've also had a very low C-class flare. These are our moderate to low level solar flares that the sun emits. Now, we did have that large X-class flare yesterday. This is all coming from two regions that we went over yesterday, which is 3691 and 3697. Let's also take a look at the percentages of our sun and solar flares today. So we have a 99% chance of having C-class flares. Obviously, we got one. M-class flare percentage is at a 75% yet again due to these two major regions. Also, because of those regions, we have a 35% chance of having a large major X-class flare from these two regions that have Earth-directed components if they do have a coronal mass ejection due to the location, especially of 3691. Now, as the newer region 3697 turns more onto the sun, this percentage we can definitely see rising. So let's look at the sun now and see what we're working with. We have 8 sunspots here on our sun. We're going to take a look at 2 of those major regions like we did yesterday, 3691, which is Earth facing now. Also, there is a coronal hole located right next to it. So those streaming areas of high solar winds, and yet again, if we have a solar flare that produces a coronal mass ejection, which is a lot of plasma that is erupted from here, it will go down that direct connection to the Earth that the coronal hole is associated with and tethered to, and thus giving us large geomagnetic storms. Now, 3697 also, this used to be 3664. Big region, giving us 2 X-class flares, and it just came on the sun. So this is what that region 3697 that just came on the sun looks like still today in beta, delta, and gamma configuration. Now, we do see it going up a little bit in size and the number of sunspots here, but look, our proton percentage, 15%. What that means is that if we have, yet again, a CME that is erupting from this area with a large proton percentage, that will slip us into solar radiation storms, which means that there will be a lot of cosmic energy, a lot of cosmic frequency, radiation that will be raining down on every single human being, every single living thing on Earth. So we also have a large percent of having a X-class flare due to the potential of this delta location right here and also the surrounding areas here. So that's why we have such a large percentage of having that. And it just came on the sun. So we have a lot of time with this region. The region I just showed you sent us into a R3 strong radio blackout that is still kind of persisting today, but has thus died down. Now, it gave us that long duration X 1.4 flare, which is the largest solar flare that we could have. It also gave us a 300 SFU 10 flare, which is a solar flux unit. So it was very, very large. It was a partial halo C. It was CME. It was not a full halo CME. But this happened off of the eastern limb. Now, there are partially Earth-directed components with this, and that's why we're going to have this G1 to G2 minor to moderate geomagnetic storm here tomorrow and the next day. Now, it could be a lot larger than we anticipated. We will see tomorrow what the interplanetary shock looks like, but we are going to have a lot of plasma coming into the Earth here. So frequencies may be off the charts, emotions may be unbalanced, and you just might feel a little out of it. So here's our chart with our coronal mass ejection. You can see that the large X-class flare is ejected from the sun, and we're getting this glancing blow here. So the bulk of the plasma is expected to miss behind the sun-Earth orbit line, but we are going to have this grazing influence, which is why we're going to be in those G2 geomagnetic storm levels starting tomorrow. So late on the 31st and into the 1st. But if you are in a high latitude area, you could definitely see some auroras tomorrow and the next day. So high percentage, 75% in those high latitude areas. If you're in a mid latitude range, 35% for you. Today, you're not going to see anything because we're going to be at KP3 levels, which is low. We are below that active line. We could see it definitely, yet again, late on the 31st, go and jump into those KP5 to KP6 levels. Could we see something stronger than that? Yes, we absolutely could. But make note that the energy is going to be a little off and it's going to be stronger because of the streaming cosmic energy that is coming in. This is high photonic frequencies that are going to be integrating into you. So you may feel exhausted or yet again, human zoomies. But data analysis is still undergoing because this is so abrupt and such a large X-class flare. Yet again, we have quite a lot of time with that region 3697 that has a large percentage of having more of these X-class flares. So we could see some very extreme solar storms due to that region. We really need to keep an eye out on that because the last time it came around, it gave us the largest geomagnetic storm that we have had in solar cycle 25. Remember, we're in the solar maximum right now. This is the peak. This region is doing that. But I also want to take a look at that region 3691 that is Earth facing right now next to that streaming coronal hole, which is going to enhance those solar winds, which is going to enhance those geomagnetic storms that I was just talking about. Now, this region has stayed about the same in the number of sunspots and in the size, still also in beta, delta, and gamma range, which means high complexity of magnetism in it. These regions right about here is what we are kind of looking at now. There are some buffers within that, but also proton percentage high, X-class percentage high. So we have two regions right now that are going to kind of take over here in the next coming of days. We have to watch these. Although there has been some decay in the trailing spots here, there has been a little bit of growth in these leader spots. But yet again, we are going to keep watch on those two large regions. And this is where that region lies, 3691. This is our coronal hole. Now, yesterday you realized and noticed that we had a large coronal hole. Now, within 24 hours, that dissipated. So this is just an indication of how things can change so abruptly on our sun. So we have this coronal hole, which is Earth facing, direct connection with Earth right now. Anything that is launched into that stream of that coronal hole is going to have an impact with Earth right now. So that's why it's such a big deal. Also, we have several filaments that are surrounding, very large, these little like finger scrape areas. Those are called filaments, and that's plasma that is just hanging on. So if it does lift off and we have a connection with a coronal hole, that could be another indication of a larger geomagnetic storm. Now, this is the one we're kind of looking out for because it is trailing off, and you can really see that. So we need to keep watch of all of these things right now because we have a lot of potential with this region, this coronal hole, all of these filaments, this region right over here next to that filament. So we have a lot going on. Now take note, this is our solar wind speed currently, not tomorrow or the next day. It will jump exponentially. Right now, our speed is at 358.4 kilometers per second. When it gets into those active levels, we will be alarmed around 400, 450, and 500 kilometer per second range. But right now, low and slow, KP2 levels, nothing going on today. Brace yourself for tomorrow. So we have our moon in Pisces today. This is peaking early in the afternoon, so around now. There's going to be a strong buildup. There is always a strong buildup in the last quarter moon. So this is going to be a release of breakthroughs, right? This is going to be an energy that is carrying us into the new moon phases. Now, Pisces energy is dreamy and imaginative. It's also hypersensitive, so remember that. But today's energy is going to switch up. It's going to be flipping and flopping all over the place. So today you may feel a little overwhelmed. You may feel a little bit of anxiety because we're channeling all of the new energy. Plus we're flip-flopping, right? So it's going to be followed by a lightness after you're processing those heavier emotions and the heavier negative thoughts. So today is a good day to ground because we're going to be bouncing back and forth. Let me know in the comments how you guys are feeling. Love ya.